Indonesia has fascinated me ever since I was a teenager. It is stunning, strange, warm and menacing, all at the same time. I moved here shortly after my wedding day, 16 years ago. My husband, Andre, had been a guitarist in a punk rock band, and I was the singer. Wonderful, carefree days, but we were growing up now, and in search of a new adventure. We moved into a house in the local neighborhood of Jakarta. Indonesia had become our home. I was by then a television reporter, and Andre became my cameraman. Together we embarked on our new careers as foreign correspondents. One event, however, affected Andre and me more than any other. It happened during our early years here, and it continues to trouble me today. It is a story that I need to revisit. It is a journey that I need to make again. Sadly, it is a journey that I can only make alone. I'm back in East Timor, a country that I came to many times in the late 1990s, during much more turbulent days. I have returned to retrace the steps of one particular battalion of the Indonesian army as they retreated towards Indonesia in 1999, to find out exactly what they did and to whom on one of the saddest days I've ever known. September 21st, 1999 will forever be etched on my mind, because it was on that day that Battalion 745 murdered my friend, the Dutch journalist Sander Tunis. Indonesia invaded East Timor in 1975, leading to an occupation that was often violent and bloody. The pro-independence guerrilla force Vaessen fought for freedom, and it is believed that 1/4 of the population died as a result. In 1998, a change of Indonesian president brought hope. The new President Habibie sought a solution to the continuing problems in East Timor and declared a referendum on the future of the region.
In my heart, East Timor are my brothers. If our brothers and sisters could not adjust with us after more than 20 years together with us, then they should decide to stay with us or to separate as friends and being a good neighbor.
It was a huge story that my husband Andre and I were keen to be covering. Shortly before referendum day, we went to a Vaessen camp in the jungle. It was an extraordinary experience, especially to meet the guerrilla commander Tower Matanruak. He shared his thoughts with us then, thoughts that he still believes in today.
Exatamente para contribuir, para encontrar rapidamente uma solução. E a solução passa necessariamente pelo referendo. 24 anos de luta não era pouca. E nenhum momento durante os 24 anos da luta as pessoas tivessem sentido de que eles iam perder.
And they didn't lose the struggle. The East Timorese voted overwhelmingly for independence. Things had become even more dangerous, however, in the run-up to the vote. The Indonesian military and the pro-Indonesian militias they had formed had become increasingly violent. They no longer considered us to be observers. They felt that journalists were on the side of the East Timorese, and that was so stuck in their minds that we became a target too. It was becoming ugly.
Ora, nós acreditávamos que depois disso haveria violência. E fez acreditar ao nosso povo, uma parte do nosso povo, de que era impossível a Indonésia retirar do nosso país, porque é país.
The military denied involvement in the violence then, and as I am discovering, they continue to do so today.
Dalam satu komando TNI tidak ada itu, apalagi instruksi untuk membantu mereka berbuat anarkis, merusak dan sebagainya, itu tidak pernah ada.
Tapi dilakukan oleh pasukan Bapak Panglima TNI kan waktu itu?
Oh tidak. Pasukan saya terbukti memang tidak melaksanakan itu. Memang ada riot ya dari pihak yang kalah. Bukan di-arrange oleh TNI, oleh saya, sama sekali tidak.
My friend Jihan was also in Dili at the time, working for the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union.
Suddenly, I see from the outside, there's some military, at the time, so the Indonesian military tried to sort of like go around the hotel. And I was kind of like wondering what's really going on there. Are they trying to trap us inside?
Our hotel was besieged. Andre and I were on the roof when we came under fire. I was in the lobby when a crazed militiaman with a sword tried to attack the journalist. We filed our last report, barricaded in a room.
Alle journalisten en buitenlanders zo snel mogelijk wegkrijgen hier. Zonder pottenkijkers kunnen ze dan pas echt hun gang gaan, zoals ze de afgelopen 24 jaar hebben gedaan.
The next morning we were forced to leave. The Indonesian military came to our hotel, put us onto trucks and drove us to the airport. We were removed from one of the largest international stories at the time. We were devastated, angry, frustrated. It was a horrible, empty feeling for Andre and me to be denied the ability to cover the events that we all knew were inevitable. We feared for the lives of many, and there was almost no one left to tell the world. We were forced to cover the story from afar, back in Jakarta. Jihan and the EBU, meanwhile, found a way to get journalists back to Dili as soon as Australian peacekeepers arrived.
Word got out that the European Broadcasting Union, EBU, had chartered an aircraft, and it managed to get approvals to land an aircraft in Dili once the airport had been secured, because we knew the UN was coming in.
We set up a table on the poolside of the Mandarin Oriental Hotel for journalists to show up, put their names and their contact details, and pay full amount of this one-way trip back to East Timor.
Come to the Mandarin Oriental Hotel poolside. There'll be someone there to meet you. The cost is, I think, $1,000 for this one-way trip. You're not coming back. You get on that aircraft, you're getting off at the other end.
So it was not cheap at all. Even I describe myself like, are you really like paid this much money? It's like ticket to hell, one-way ticket to hell. And then there's a last journalist showed up with his friend and start a conversation, friendly. He struck me as a very friendly, warm-hearted kind of person. I want to be the part of it. I want to be in that airplane. So like, okay, sure. And then he wrote down his name, and I said like, it sounds, your voice, you from somewhere in Europe? Yeah. And he speaks very fluent in Bahasa to me. Saya dari Belanda. I was like, oh, okay. So you're from Holland. And it was Sander Films. Very friendly, very interactive. And from what I remember, we just met there. I never met him before, never knew him before. And we just clicked.
Everyone clicked with Sander. He was that kind of man. Young, smart, and keen. He and I were part of a small group of Dutch journalists based in Jakarta. Friends who shared stories and traveled around the country we loved so much. Sander was the Financial Times correspondent and was as unlikely as me to become a war correspondent so quickly. I need to understand more about the people who killed him. These are the remains of Battalion 745, the compound, where they were based, but also where they started their bloody retreat. People were very, very much afraid of 745 in Los Palos. They knew that these soldiers were pretty violent.
Dalam hati mereka memang takut. Tapi di dalam hati mereka takut, tapi maunya merdeka. Mati hidup harus merdeka.
This was also not the only camp. They had many more in this little town. Basically, this town was dominated by 745. The people here were always reminded of the Indonesian presence because of this battalion. You can actually see 745, 7, 4, 5. It's still here. They tried to remove it, but it didn't really work.
Di hadapan mereka kita takut. Tapi kita di rumah ada rencana bagaimana supaya kita ada buat hubungan dengan orang hutan. Sehingga suatu saat Indonesia akan gagal dan akan tinggalkan Timor Leste supaya rakyat akan merdeka sendiri. Ya kita tahu. Karena mereka di sini selama 24 tahun. Kalau kalah dalam referendum mereka harus malu. Karena mereka buat banyak pembangunan di sini. Ya rencana mereka itu setelah kalah dalam jajak pendapat, mereka akan pakai kekerasan, akan membakar semua bangunan dari pemerintah Indonesia, dan akan membunuh rakyat dan memaksakan rakyat supaya mengungsi.
On the morning of September 19, 1999, Battalion 745 departed Los Palos and embarked on their trail of murder. As they began their slow withdrawal, they headed first of all north towards the beach at Lautem. This was the departure point of the battalion. Most of the soldiers left East Timor back to Indonesia right here. And this was also like a supply route for them, so they kept their main supplies in this little bay. And they didn't want anyone to have any profit from those supplies, so they destroyed everything when they left. And there was a group of the battalion, 120 members, who were not allowed to go on the boats, but they had to go back to Indonesia overland. They had to bring back the vehicles. So around 60 trucks and 30 motorbikes left Lautem from here. And they got one important order: destroy and kill everything you find on your way.
Memang ada kekerasan. Namanya pada waktu itu sudah finish, jadi mereka itu sudah buat ikut yang kemauan mereka. Takut, memang pada saat itu mereka sudah galak itu, sudah galak. Jadi bunuh teman-teman, ada yang dibunuh, terus baru mereka sambil tunggu kapal. Iya, perasaannya sudah pulang begitu, berarti semua orang-orang sini kan sudah.
The battalion members who hadn't set sail, those charged with returning the convoy of vehicles to Indonesia, camped down in Lautem for the night. They left early on the morning of September 20th, the orange glow of everything they had set alight filling the sky. Their route was now to the west, following the coastal road along the northern shore of East Timor towards Laga. Once there, they camped down for another night at one of their supply bases. On the morning of September 21st, 1999, Andre and I, with our tickets bought at the Mandarin from Jihan, boarded the EBU flight in Jakarta. Eager to return to the East Timor, we were forced to leave, but nervous and scared about what we would find. The first sights from the plane confirmed our worst fears. Destruction on a scale we could not even have imagined. We readied ourselves for one of the hardest stories we would ever have to cover. At the same time as we had set off on our journey to hell, the soldiers of Battalion 745 readied themselves for their departure from Laga, on a journey of a very different intent. What was to become a very dark day began here. It was a day that would affect so many families, not only in East Timor. Having set their base alight, the battalion departed towards Dili and began a pattern of violence that would continue for the rest of the day. It wasn't long before the battalion met their first victims that morning. Within 10 minutes of leaving the base, they came across 2 men on a motorcycle, unfortunate enough to be on the same stretch of road at the same time.
It says 2 men were killed here by the Indonesian military on 21st of September 1999. And I know these 2 guys were 2 brothers. Their names were Igas and Abrio.
Unbeknown to the battalion, their actions were witnessed by Zelia Pinto.
Momentum ibane dasan tu hitung sini. Depois liba atuba ko haris tu, atuba haris. Pas hamdi ke bebe kanon yang leteng hati ke fila. Na batalion baru sa mainnya kan ka istrana na kuntia. Tamte vela hare ban serna ruane mahela, motor ruane kan mahela. Bahal hati ke bahare motor ne. Motor emang ruane nusen bamai. Depois batalion nu sikung hen bamai. Tiru nansa tiru tutur malu tansa primida be mate tian kan hala itu, hala bisa tiru langsung tiru. Setelah nakuno tiap be hati ke fila ne be. Hane sera be tahu langsung tahu kau be sera hal nansa tamat tiap be larang ne. Sira tiru hakilar ne horona. Masa hakilar dog be hasa rona sera momento na otobatina be larang be. Sa ladung comprende liur tiana. Depois liur tia ne masira hasa darat tia mate na ruane. Sentanis. Familia.
Celia's bitterly sad story was the first of many tragedies that occurred on September 21st, 1999. As I continued retracing the battalion's journey, I met more and more people who had witnessed their violence and who shared with me story after story of grief and sorrow. Just outside Baucau, this man showed me where his uncle was gunned down, in the doorway of his own house, now abandoned and overgrown. This family lost a daughter, a young mother, callously shot in both legs. She bled to death in front of them, on this spot, holding in her arms her infant child, now a teenage schoolgirl. Retracing the steps of Battalion 745 was never going to be easy, physically or emotionally, and I'm finding it disturbing in every way. And I know that there's more and worse to come. And there's still some way to go before I have to deal with how the battalion affected me. I reached the center of Baucau, and like the battalion, passed straight through. Everyone had fled the empty town. The beautiful market building had already been destroyed years before. By now, word had reached the Valentil soldiers hiding in the mountains, exactly what Battalion 745 was doing.
E naquele momento as pessoas, os guerrilheiros, os comandantes, as pessoas viam os familiares a serem perseguidos, a serem mortos, casas a serem destruídas. O possível para convencê-los de que a melhor forma de terminar a guerra, trazer a paz ao nosso país, não é reagir.
Saya tahu itu, karena begitu terjadi aksi, saya melihat dari kubu bersenjata, pro kemerdekaan, banyak menahan diri. Saya memang tidak bisa kontak langsung ke Matan Ruang, tapi saya tahu ada instruksi dari Matan Ruang kepada anggota dia yang bersenjata.
Despite the general's wishes, some Valentil soldiers could take it no longer. They hid in the land next to this bridge, and it was here that the battalion met with the only resistance they were to face that day.
There was a shootout of around 2 hours between the Indonesian soldiers and the Valentil fighters. None of the Indonesian soldiers died, but 4 members of Valentil, they got killed. And then the Indonesian battalion moved on and killed more people. on the other side. Having survived the Valentil ambush, the battalion struck again, just beyond the bridge. A young man with his friends, unaware of the danger, had returned to his village to collect supplies. His aunt Jacinta told me what happened, a testimony that would become more shocking than I ever imagined.
Rakyat semua masih ke sana, adik itu dengan teman-teman turun lagi, kiranya di sini sudah aman sedikit, makanya mereka turun, tapi adik itu tidak tahu juga, padahal di sini sudah penuh dengan tentara 745. Bunuh dia, mereka bawa dia sembunyikan di sana di satu sungai kecil di sana. Gara-gara 745 ditembak mati. Itu kita dengan bagaimanapun perang di dunia itu harus begitu. Ada yang mati, ada yang luka, ada yang meninggalkan istri dan anak. Kita ikut berduka cita, sedih, tapi bagaimana? Begini kakak saya juga memperkosa oleh orang Indonesia. Saya punya anak 3 dari orang Indonesia, memperkosa. Waktu 79 78 waktu kita lari ke hutan, mereka tentara Indonesia tangkap dibawa ke sini. Saya waktu itu umur sudah 20-an, perkosa dari tentara Indonesia.
When Andre and I boarded the EBU flight bound for East Timor on September 21st, 1999, together with Sander Tunis, Paul Dillon, and all the other journalists, we weren't the only people heading for Dili. Battalion 745 was approaching from the east, and coming in the opposite direction from West Timor were John Swain of the Sunday Times with American photographer Chip Hayes.
There were burnt-out houses, or shells of homes. There were lots of debris on the roads. The streets were very empty, and security had completely fallen apart.
Dili Airport was eerie when we came in, at the same time as aircraft of the Australian peacekeeping forces. The airport building was deserted and partially destroyed. There were no formalities, no security checks. Nor was there any transport, not the traditional kind anyway.
We managed to flag down a cattle truck. And I can remember Sander standing at the front of the tip with his head up above, looking down the highway. The Australian peacekeepers had set up in one of the beachfront hotels in Dili, ringed it in steel.
They'd made their headquarters in the main hotel, which is called the Turismo Hotel, which is also on the beach. We didn't want to get involved with the Australian army. We didn't want to be controlled in any particular way. We wanted to stay independent.
Because we hadn't flown in with the Australian forces, we were prevented from entering into that protected hotel and instead walked down the beachfront, the promenade, about 300 meters to where there was a nunnery, an abandoned nunnery.
See if we can get in.
Andre and I also took shelter in the convent that day. This is the first time that I've returned since 1999. and it's only partially familiar. I've come back to independent East Timor many times, but I've avoided the nunnery for 14 years. I really very strongly remember how afraid we were when we were staying here. We thought it would be a lot safer before we actually went to Dili than we experienced when we actually got here. It was very unpredictable, very eerie. You know, the gunshots, fires, we just didn't know. We had no idea where we had to look out for. We thought that the Indonesians would have left, but many of them were still here. But there was no time for fear. We were all here to work, and that's what we did. Our story that day was right across the road from the convent, where thousands were crammed together on the beach, looking for safety. We went out to interview them.
I saw this huge collection of humanity on the beach and went to talk to the refugees and found this young refugee family headed by a sweet young man called Anacleto da Silva, who spoke some English. I said, well, I'd like to use you as an interpreter, but we need some transport.
Saya dengan Anacleto, kami masih saya teman dengan dia. Terus waktu itu kami sama-sama pengungsi di Hotel Timor. Cari makanan, ambil beras, ketemu lagi wartawan 2 orang.
No, we didn't want to go very far. We didn't want to go anywhere unsafe, particularly. It was our first day in Dili.
Florindo Araujo had been driving journalists around Dili on the back of his small motorcycle all day. As he dropped one of them off at the Turismo, Sander was next in line.
Dia datang, dia ketemu saya, dia bilang, minta bantuan, bisa bantu kan? Antar saya keliling di kota Dili. Dia bilang, dari sini, dari Turismo ini, kita dua harus ke Bekora. Saya bilang, Bekora, kita jangan masuk, masih rawan. Saya kasih tahu 2 kali. Saya kira dia dengar, dia tahu. Tapi dia tidak mau terima saya punya omongan, jadi saya bawa dia.
Having set off earlier than Florindo and Sander, John, Chip, and Anacleto in Sancho Ramos's car were some way ahead on the same stretch of road. They would be the first to meet the battalion in Dili that day.
Just beyond the city limits, really, about half a mile, I suppose. There was this noise of motorbikes arriving. They came around the corner, and there were about 30 or 40 men on motorbikes, all armed.
Langsung merasa bilang, woi, kita sudah mau mati ini.
One of the first things they did was they attacked my driver.
Kamu macam-macam begini, dia langsung hantam senjata, dia penuh langsung begini.
One of them just took his rifle and bashed his eye out with the rifle butt. And I just saw it coming down his face like an egg, really. It was just like a broken egg. It was just hanging down there, down his cheek.
Mereka pukul di situ, terus habis pukul wartawan 2 orang.
They were very suspicious of him because he was with 2 Westerners.
Mereka langsung ambil kain, ikat di mata. Terus dengan tangan 2 di belakang ikat semua. Terus mereka kasih naik di mobil.
We were ordered back into the vehicle, and our driver, with his eye still hanging out, was ordered to drive the car down the hill.
Jadi bagaimana, Sancho? Pakai mobil dengan satu mata aja?
Ya, waktu itu dengan mata satu aja, bawa mobil begini, sampai ke bawah tempat yang tadi.
The motorbikes swerved and stopped in front of us, so we couldn't blocked our way. We couldn't go any further.
Salah satu komandan, sampai sekarang kita sudah lupa, kita tidak tahu juga namanya. Salah satu komandan bilang tidak usah bawa ke dalam, bunuh, suruh mereka lari, baru kita tembak dari belakang. Tembak dari belakang, terus tidak kena kami jatuh di atas tadi, saya tunjuk di rumah itu.
I said to Chip and to Ramos, I said, we got to get out or we're dead.
Kami turun, langsung lari. Kami turun langsung lari sampai di atas sana. Mereka tembak, terus kami ke bawah semua. Mereka tembak kami ke bawah semua, terus wartawan 2 orang itu lari lewat mana, saya juga tidak tahu lagi.
I don't think they came after us. I'm not sure, because we didn't really look behind. We just kept going as fast as we could and as quietly as we could and looking for cover.
Saya tidak bisa lari lagi karena sudah merasa berat sekali sakitnya. Merasa sakit, terus ini juga sudah bengkak ini.
We didn't know where Ramesh had gone. He had his own ideas of where it was safest to be. And, he's an East Timorese, and by that time he might have realized that it was safer to be on his own rather than be with 2 Westerners who had brought this terrible episode upon him in Anacleto.
John and Chip hid through the night, unsure of what had happened to Anacleto and Sancho. The battalion, in the meantime, continued on its bloody route of destruction.
Ke kiri, terus ada tentara TNI banyak di situ, di pos itu. Ada 3 motor, semua pakai senjata. Jadi ada 3 motor itu, 6 orang yang di atas. 1 motor 2 orang, tapi semua perlengkapan senjata. Saya balik motor, mereka langsung 3 kali arahnya ke kita. Terus saya balik, saya lari, mereka juga begini tembakannya atau senjata otomatis semua. Mereka di sebelah kanan saya di kiri, mereka senjata begini ke saya. Akhirnya saya lari terus. Akhirnya pelurunya kena di roda depannya. Begini saya, karena kecepatannya tinggi, tapi motor kecil, kalau kita tidak bisa, saya tahan motor juga tidak bisa, dia begini, langsung dia satu. Mereka balik lagi motor, mereka bilang, tangkap dia, bunuh dia. Mereka sambil begini, saya masuk, mereka langsung ikuti, tembakannya. Saya sekarang sudah lari, mereka ikuti tembakan saya di dalam. Tembak, akhirnya saya lolos, tapi saya sudah luka semua. Tapi saya tahu bahwa dia itu hidup, pelurunya tidak kena. Karena saya sudah tahu bahwa tidak ada kok. Kenapa kok saya bilang dia mati? Saya tahu karena dia peluru tidak kena dia.
Battered, bruised and bleeding, Florindo made his way to the Turismo to tell everyone he could what had happened. We heard that Sander was missing, so it was very confusing. My husband and Ray was looking for him next door in the Turismo hotel while I was still working. I had to keep working because I had deadlines, and so it was all like really messed up because we were also really worried about our own safety. I mean, not much was standing. Lots of buildings still burning. You could hear gunshots. So it was very, very tense, very eerie situation here. We didn't feel very safe. That whole night I spent here with my friends, with colleagues, trying to make phone calls, like really, trying to get through to anyone who would have any news about Sander. Early the following morning, Paul Dillon was one of the first journalists to venture out of the convent.
This young Timorese guy came up to me and we started talking, and he said, I know where there's this dead foreigner. Would you like me to take you there? So then we had this long 30 plus minute walk out to Bakura, and down off the left-hand side of the road in a sort of a small gully, looked like almost a driveway, was Sander Tones, lying on his side. It was very unpleasant. You get used to seeing bodies in repose, if you like, almost with a sense of sort of calm. But I didn't get that off Sander. I didn't get that sense of calm off Sander. I got a sense of reaching, for something.
The only thing I could imagine was his family, his friends, fellow journalists.
I could hear people crying from the courtyard. It's tough. A very real moment for everyone. Could just as easily be me or anybody else in the nunnery that night.
I felt like I was the part of his departure. It's gone. I feel like, gee, I arranged his flight, and I just like, to some degree, I feel like I murdered him.
We were woken up here by your friends, and they burst into the room, and then the first thing they said, yes, we found Sander. And of course, then, you know, it went into a whirlwind of events. We cried together with our Dutch friends, trying to grasp what had happened. Meanwhile, painful, gruesome things had to be done. Sander's body, which had finally been recovered by the Australian peacekeepers, needed to be identified. My husband Andre helped with this task, an experience that really traumatized him. John Swain and Chip Hyers, who spent the night within meters of Sander's body without realizing, had been assisted back to Dili by peacekeeping forces.
The question was, you know, what had happened to Ramos and what had happened to Anacleto. With the rising of the sun, we heard that a Dutch journalist had been killed very nearby. My immediate reaction was that he'd been killed by the same group who'd attacked us. It just made perfect sense. This Daily Mirror photographer agreed to take me back on his motorbike to where the whole incident had happened because I was going to try and find Ramos. We got back to where the attack happened and the old battered old taxi was still there with its windows all bashed out, tires flat from bullet holes.
Pagi jam 7 ada wartawan 7 orang bawa motor. Ketemu lagi saya di sana baru.
And suddenly there was a rustling in the bushes and Ramos came running out, with his eyes still hanging out. But he was okay. We then had 3 on the motorbike. And so he was in the middle, and put my arms around him, kept him steady. We decided to take him to the Australian military hospital they set up at Dili Airport. At that moment, the commander of the Australian forces, General Cosgrove, arrived. I turned to him, I grabbed him, and I said, General, you know, this is what happened. My driver's had his eye bashed out, and he needs urgent medical care. Can you authorize it in some sort of way? And he turned to his men and he said, get this fellow on the first flight to Darwin, will you?
In Australia, Sancho received emergency surgery, and the sight in his remaining eye was saved.
As for my interpreter, Anacleto, of course it was a devastating thing to have happened. Not something that, not something that you as a journalist ever want to have to go through. Anyway, we'd obviously made inquiries about what had happened to him, and no one could give any real explanation. But later I learned that he had been taken with a group of other prisoners and paraded at the army base and been beaten up, and that was the last anyone ever saw of him.
I suspect that Anacleto, like so many others, was ultimately taken to Jakarta, not the capital city of Indonesia, but to a cliff south of Dili, and then thrown off. The cliff was cynically named by the Indonesians because the families of victims taken there were told that it was to Jakarta that their loved ones had fled. I think this journey is for me looking for some kind of closure, and I'm not really sure closing what exactly. Dia dibunuh oleh Batalion 745 waktu mereka tarik dari Los Palos.
Saya punya perasaan yang sama. Ya. Anda punya teman satu ya. saya punya banyak teman. Banyak sekali teman-teman saya, anak buah saya, setiap hari meninggal, mati, ketembak, ya, dibunuh. Ada. Tapi saya merasa bahwa itulah ya dari dinamika satu perubahan.
The police investigation shows that Sander was most probably still alive when the soldiers picked up his body and dragged it off the road. They brought him to a piece of scrubland behind the house and shot him deliberately in the back. By the time his body was found, his face had been mutilated beyond recognition, most probably by his murderers.
Kalau tadi dikatakan apakah dalam mimpi saya ada terbayang-bayang masa lalu, saya mencoba, walaupun saya tidak pernah tidur secara pulas, secara baik, untuk tidur saya hindari untuk bisa bermimpi yang jelek-jelek. Karena memang tugas masa lalu itu banyak hal-hal yang sangat berat bagi saya. Kalau saya hanya berpikir tentang masa lalu yang berat, yang jelek dan sebagainya, berarti saya sudah siap mati.
Have you ever felt responsible for what happened in East Timor?
Oh, that is not always the same. I told you many, many times, no.
Deze zijn van jou, Sander. Om je te laten weten dat wat er met jou gebeurd is een litteken voor eeuwig op mijn ziel heeft gekrast. En ik ben hier ook namens alle anderen die precies hetzelfde voelen. I always thought they're just going to chase us away. They want to make us scared. They don't want any witnesses to see, the plan they had, the violence they had planned, all the killings. And they succeeded. Many journalists, including me, had to leave. And when we came back, we thought, it's over, it's better, it's safer.
General Wiranto was eventually indicted by the Special Crimes Unit in Dili for gross human rights violations, but he never appeared in court.
Stefani, dan ternyata kebijakan-kebijakan saya on behalf kebijakan atau atas nama kebijakan negara. Ya, pelanggaran HAM itu adalah menyangkut kebijakan negara, the state policy. Dan state policy ada di Presiden Habibie. Dan saya ikut mendukung state policy itu.
Look, he may say everything. The world is not blind and dead. Okay? As I told you, I've done my job. Show me the fact that they were instructed by Habibie to kill. Show me.
Okay, yeah. Left behind the past. We look for in the future. Okay.
And the future that Wiranto aims for is becoming the president of Indonesia in the 2014 election. The former East Timor guerrilla leader has become the president of his country, and he leaves me with a very warm message.
Eu tenho que pedir desculpa aos familiares dele por ele ter derramado o seu sangue pelo bem dos timorenses, pelo nosso país. O povo de Timor não vai esquecê-lo eternamente. O nome dele está registrado na nossa história.
The events in East Timor are one of the most traumatic events I experienced, not only as a journalist, but as a person. And these events have led to a lot of other events in my life that are also traumatic. So being here, of course, has something to do with that. I always believe some kind of spirits are in birds for some reason, and now birds are passing us.
As I sat At the start of this film, this journey was something I could only do alone. And there's a very sad reason for that. Everything that happened here was very traumatic for Andre, and he decided not to work in conflict areas anymore. Not long after, he started to suffer from depressions. Minor ones at first, but then more and more severe. 3 years ago, life became too much for him, and he decided to end it. But as I learned in Indonesia, in East Timor, life, death, we need to accept them as they come. And things do change for the better too.
So the young lady who sold me the ticket at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, my one-way ticket to hell, is my wife of 7 years. And 7 years, she'll kill me. Let me do that again. 2004, 2013, 9 years.
We couldn't ask for more. We're truly blessed and happily marriage and happy family with the kids. 1 boy, 1 girl, complete package.
And what of me? I don't have Andre in my life anymore, but I do have our wonderful son, Agus. He's 13 years old. Yes, we conceived him together during that terrible time in Dili. I see in him every day the spirit of Andre, and he's the absolute love of my life. It seems that true beauty can be born of tragedy after all.